You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Fargo After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Fargo After Show.
Hello, Fargo fan club, and welcome to episode 9 of Fargo. It is entitled A Fox, a Rabbit, and a Cabbage. My name is Oriana Leo, and welcome to the rest of your panel. Jillian Leff.
Hi.
And Sarah Huggins.
Hello.
David Scafility is off tonight. Well, we have one episode left, and the plot thickens. Right?
Seriously.
So, what's interesting about this episode is that we start a little bit, just a few moments, I guess, or even a day before where the last episode left off, right? So I was thinking when it started, we were going to pick up where we left off, and rather we got context about what Lorne's been up to.
Which, I mean, we knew that he could play people because we saw him as the pastor. So I was really excited to see him as a dentist. Don't know how safe that is, or if he has a dental license.
Well, I was amazed that just to watching that he's like sticking something up into the tooth. But like, how does he didn't go to dental school. We don't know. But he didn't go to seminary to become a fake pastor. He probably didn't go to dental school.
Figure out anything online.
Well, he said he put in 6 months of work with the guy. He did say that to Lester. So he really hasn't been at it for that long because if you think about it, not that much time has passed.
Right.
I mean, Molly, the only really gauge that we have as far as, it was a year later, was it not?
Okay, so that leaves 6 months for education.
Who knows?
Right.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. And Lorne, I think, could do it.
Yeah.
If it could be done, he can do it. This guy is incredible in his deception.
I will say, too, at the beginning, it was super, I noticed a serious mood change. It was like almost celebratory. It was like the music was different. It was really like light and airy.
Absolutely.
Happy.
And the house party they had with the ice sculpture, it was very swanky.
Yeah.
It was very like, what did I write down? Groovy house party is what I wrote. But it did.
Yeah.
You could tell Lorne, his choice of new life is one in which he gets to have some fun and live a little, I guess.
Yeah, much more glamorous than we've seen him because, as we know, he's been a solo rider thus far. And, I mean, listen, after he pretty much killed every single person involved in the competitive hit agency, his boss, he was ready for a change, and he definitely showed it to us with his hot blonde fiance.
What's amazing, though, is that, not only did he land the hot blonde fiance, but that this gentleman that he works with in the dental office, that's essentially his last connection, his only connection to whomever the witness is against him or against the shooting at the syndicate. Is that right? Were you guys clear on that?
I was a little bit confused because he was talking about his brother, obviously, who's in witness protection. And obviously, Oriana said this when we were watching the TV show, but the only reason why Lorne does things is to get himself ahead. It always has to benefit him in some way. All of his sadistic nature wraps around to the fact that he's a complete sociopath and he has to benefit. So that's the reason why he was getting so close to this guy, because his brother is involved with the crime that he committed. So
he's probably the only loose end.
Yeah.
Is what I'm guessing.
Right.
Lorne likes to tie up loose ends. He likes to record them first and then tie them up.
Well, he planned on getting rid of that guy anyway because he's really just looking for the brother,
Yeah, I feel like that was just kind of an excuse to have him in Vegas, and I don't think we're going to see or hear anything about that.
It was a convenient storyline, but still really impressive as far as what Lorne is capable of doing. So they were going to have a little family reunion of sorts going deer hunting, and we see later that Lester totally ruins that. But when you were saying, Sarah, about the mood shift, even even seeing Lauren in the red room,
Mm-hmm.
very Scarface, like
Yeah.
very kind of glamorous and evil and scary.
The devil.
The devil, right?
The
in the devil's lair, all red.
Listening to his creepy tapes.
Listening to his creepy tapes. Did we recognize who that was? Or was
It
that...
was Lester.
It was.
Yeah, it was the recording that Lauren took of Lester after he had killed his wife and he had come over. Or the phone call that Lester made, yeah. But, you know, just we thought that the settings on our TV were funky. Like, we thought that it was too dark, but the episode was just very dark in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right?
So that is the mood shift played in that way as well.
It
with the coloring.
did.
For sure.
And then, so after we see, you know, the devil's lair, we shift back to right where we left off, which is the bar, the hotel bar, the cocktails. And Lester, I cannot for the life of me think of one good reason why he would have approached him. Other than he's like drunk with power from being salesman of the year. He's had a couple cocktails. But really, what did he think was going to happen? He didn't think, is what I'm going to guess.
I think that the fear that Lorne instilled in him sort of dissipated over this year or so of non-contact. And like we saw, there were many shifts in Lester's personality. You know, he's a super confident guy. He has a new pretty young wife. He owns a business. He's winning all of these awards. He feels like there is a power shift in his life. And I think that he believed that it was just going to carry over. And for me, I think that that's why he approached him in the first place. Because he was like, whatever, like, I got this.
What do you think,
Well,
Sarah?
and I think, I mean, I didn't really think about why he approached, but like I said last week, I don't think that was chance that they were both in the same place at the same time. And I think that I just know that Lauren probably knew that Lester would approach him. Like he knows him that well. Yeah.
See, for me, I thought that it was just sort of happenstance that it occurred that way because Lauren was working on this dentist guy.
Right.
And it's like Lester sort of threw a wrench in his plans. And I don't think that he was ready to kill all of those people yet. But obviously, as we see, Lester challenges him and he's like, you want this.
And also,
it's on you.
If you look at who Lester was a year ago, you would never in a million years think he'd be going to Vegas for any reason, right? Being successful in his career, having it, like, winning an award. It's just, I don't know, doesn't seem possible. But again, Lauren keeps tabs on everyone. So that, I think that is kind of up for debate.
It's interesting that you say that because I don't want to jump ahead. But later, I even wrote down if he does keep tabs on everyone, like what I originally thought, he would have known that Lester didn't live in the same place, had moved and things like that. So maybe like what you guys are saying is true. Maybe he had like moved on and was just like, okay, that's
he was just chasing
done.
Another.
Right.
Yeah, he was on to his next project.
It seemed like he was tying a loose ends because he wants to get to this guy who was a witness of the syndicate shooting. So someone who didn't die when he shot it up. But it's just funny that he left Lester out there. But I guess he knows. They know, right? They have a mutual understanding.
Can we discuss the elevator scene? Because the three of us screamed. And I have to say, like, I'm a scary movie freak. I see everything, anything. I hardly ever scream out loud. And I did not expect that.
We all screamed. Well, and Lauren saying, is this what you want? And everyone in the elevator is freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, what? Lighten up.
It was the proximity thing that got me.
Yes.
Just like being in an enclosed space, everyone sort of looked at each other as it was happening. You know, the guy was first, and then the wife, and then the fiance.
I thought maybe the fiance was going to get to live, but
no, they were all just pawns in his master plan. And just the fact that here he is playing this game and he still has this loaded weapon on him, like to draw and murder people at any given moment. Like,
right.
But the thing that sucks is he gave Lester an out.
Right.
And he said, do you want this to happen? Is this what you want? And I mean, like, for me, we know that Lester is a bumbling idiot. As soon as that happened, the fear flushed over him. We now see the Lester that we grew to not quite love.
Well, because I feel like he knew, it's like when he was like, do you want this to happen? Lester kind of knows, like, he's dead either way, kind of. Like, that guy's out to get him. Lauren's out to get him.
I
so
don't
it's
know.
like he can't make a good decision.
I think, Jill, I agree with you in the sense that he had some swagger, as if things were just the dice was gonna keep rolling, snake eyes for him.
He'll never do anything to these people, and like he's not gonna do anything to me right now.
But yeah, that sort of sense of optimism that he all of a sudden has, or control, it's bewildering at how stupid it is, because he was already pretty much asked this exact same question once before, and he didn't like the outcome,
right.
And so here he says yes, and boy does he get it.
Yeah.
But then Lauren says, that's on you. Like, okay.
Because he had a choice.
He did have a choice. And now Lester is potentially going to have to, if he live with that. But not sure that he has much of a conscience anymore.
No, because that was the first choice that Lester made in this episode. I think that there was a theme of choices.
There was, absolutely.
In this episode, all of his choices were awful.
So he goes back to the hotel room, and his poor wife, I can't remember her name, but we'll call her Mrs.
Linda.
Thank you, Linda listen. And wakes her up and makes her pack and leave in the middle of the night, convincing her, well, I don't think she needed that much convincing. She's not too inquisitive, but, okay, we have to go back because of the big fish that he has to work, but then he immediately goes back to her idea of going to Acapulco. So who knows? But we're introduced to the name of our episode with Key and Peele. They did say their names. We'll say it's agents. I put FBI agent clowns. Budge and Pepper.
I thought it was Fudge.
Maybe it is Fudge.
I don't know.
That would be funnier.
Yeah.
Fudge and Pepper. And they start talking about the fox, the rabbit, and the cabbage. They said that right?
Yes.
I did. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can uncover that at another level when we get to news and gossip. But they're, one is posing a riddle. The other one is trying to solve it in the most expeditious way possible. And in the meantime, someone comes and wants to pull the syndicate file. So what did you guys think when you saw this guy? They're asking their questions. I didn't think this guy was going to take them seriously enough to let anything happen. I mean, how did they get permission to leave?
I mean, they were involved with the case.
Right.
They were sort of the spirit of it. And as we saw in the last episode, when he was throwing the tennis ball against the wall, the picture of Lauren was behind the corkboard. So it's fresh in their mind. They're hungry for it. And this is sort of their shot.
They're going insane. I think part of the riddle is that it's a ridiculous riddle. There's many answers to it, but it's all about having to be in the right place and carry things to the right place at the right time so that none of your, evidence gets eaten. Yeah. But it just makes it sound like this is such a crazy situation that they're in, that they're about to step into, that
they have no idea.
They have no idea. So we jump to Molly and the family at the diner, which was really sweet scene to see Greta and Gus and the dad at the diner at Lou's coffee shop. And they mentioned that she's in charge because Bill is at a conference and she only has 1 more month left with the police department.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite understand if it was that maternity leave. It kind of sounded like she wasn't coming back.
Well, it's probably maternity leave. That's how I took it. And then who knows if she'll come back, because
an open-ended.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to come back if this case is not solved.
Yeah.
But who knows at this point? Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Next, we see Lester's rear view mirror as he's driving. Did they drive from Vegas? No, they took a flight. We find out they took a flight.
Took a flight.
So they must be driving from the airport, and he's still looking in the rear view, thinking he's being followed, freaking out, and convinces lovely Linda that first, the reason they left was so he could work, and secondly, they should just take that gosh darn vacation right now to Acapulco.
Because I want to drink rum straight out of coconuts.
Yeah.
Yep. And we noticed that they have a new house. So we didn't, I don't know that we'd put that together on the last, we had.
Well,
we knew that Molly and Gus had a new house. Did we see that Lester had
last
a new
week?
house?
No, we didn't, because we, as soon as, remember, we saw him with Linda, or her getting all turned on by him in the office. And then cut to they were married at that conference.
That's right. So we get to see their little, really cute house. I mean, definite upgrade.
Yeah.
Definite upgrade. In the woods, though.
He didn't want to stay in the
He did not want to stay there in the murder house. But we see that he gets home and he's really paranoid, and he should be. Like, is Lauren already there? Could Lauren magically travel like faster than they did? Who knows? He's capable of so many things.
Right.
He has to check the house. He has this shiny silver handgun.
The first thing that I noticed when he walked downstairs, and the girls can vouch for me, is the orange jacket was hung up.
Yep.
And that was also very symbolic of who he once was.
Yep.
And then right before he goes up the stairs, he grabs the jacket. And that's the point that I knew, like, oh, man, this shit's about to go down.
Yeah, Lester's a goner.
He's reverting back to his old self.
Well, he is. And the fact that he saved it, too. Like, that
Creepy.
jacket, he went through so much with that coat on. And you would think, if you didn't want to be recognized, if you didn't want to have Lauren come back into your life, you wouldn't have it anymore. But obviously, that's not how he really felt.
Sentimental value.
So we see Gus Grimley. Oh, before that, sorry, Molly comes to the doorstep. And I'm sure that Lester did not appreciate that. No. At saying that LVPD has him on a witness list, a potential witness list to some murders. But
the thing is, what
I know.
Why did they not have the security camera footage or a security camera photo? You know, why is it being sent over? Like, I get that he's a witness, but how did they come to that conclusion?
Well, I got the impression that, I mean, she got a call, and I got the impression that it was probably Lauren that called and said, because there's no other way that they would know that he was the person who witnessed that.
That's a really interesting theory, because I was thinking the same thing. Is if they have footage, why would he be able to tell any of these lies that he's telling? Right? Like, they would have the actual picture of, like, okay, well, you just got off the elevator and you're covered in blood, or, you know, there's dead bodies. You would think there'd be some kind of photographic evidence.
And we know that Lauren doesn't care about cameras because he's been captured on how many cameras?
Right.
Like security, you know, he's going to do what he wants to do. And who knows, maybe the way that he was standing in the elevator was out of the picture,
I'm sure
or
it was.
the top of his head or whatever, and Lester was in plain sight. But obviously that's going to come into play in the next episode.
You would think so. I think that's really interesting, Sarah.
But
to
I
think
did.
that maybe Lauren gave the tip,
because otherwise they would have no idea. I mean, there's a million people in that hotel, a million, like, they didn't specify, and that's why I thought that
something's fishy.
Yeah.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting that, you know, his wife is there and he's trying to manage his lies to Molly and with Linda.
Right. And Linda is just blowing it, like, left and right.
She absolutely is.
Girlfriend catches on.
She does. Yeah. She does come through. We get a couple little cuts here where we see some foreshadowing. We see Gus is the postman. He's getting the mail and he sees a car drive by, and his sort of very mild detective instincts have him take a look at the car. And we see that later on that does come into play as far as him having that recollection. And then we see Lauren goes to Lester's old house and those poor people that live there now.
Oh my gosh, this is so sad with the kids.
Yeah, so he's asking for Lester. He's acting like his friend. You know, he's going around town. This is his MO. But it isn't enough that Lester's not there. He's just going to move on. He's going to have to ruin the entire life experience of the kids and the dad that are there thinking, first of all, they need to have been notified that there were murders there.
Right.
To sell the property.
Yeah.
That's the law. And then on top of it, just torturing small children. But he gets glee in it.
Yeah, he smiled.
He laughed. But the man at the house does tell us something new, which we didn't know, which is that he has his own shop. And it's on Third. It has his name on it.
Right.
Wow, he has no shame.
No
shame after all that's happened. He can still open up his own shop with his name on it. New wife, new house.
Right.
New life.
In plain sight.
Same town, though.
Yeah.
Pretty unbelievable.
He's awful.
He is awful. And I think in this episode we find out that Lester is just as bad as Lauren. Like, Lauren
evil personified.
Perhaps did his favorite thing to do, which was give him a chance, give him an opportunity. And when he took that yes a year ago, it just uncovered what a disgusting person Lester was and didn't have the guts to be.
I agree.
Okay. So Molly asks about the elevator and flight change. We see this exchange, and I was definitely surprised that Mrs. Nygaard Linda covers for the flight change.
Well, she almost blew it, though. Like, she caught on a little late. like she said a couple things. She almost blew it a couple times.
So at the time, right? We know that she obviously loves Lester.
Right.
She was coming on very strong in the last episode, and they weren't even together.
And we got to hear this whole thing we'll get to about Cinderella.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up right now because
yeah, go ahead.
So in the car, the conversation in the car, when she's talking about how she had always imagined being with him, and she used to fantasize about how she would get rid of his wife, and this is her happy ending, and she used to work as a maid in a hotel that her parents owned, and yada yada yada. So the true Cinderella story. So really, she is the Bonnie to his Clyde.
Yeah. She may be.
She's ready to ride or die.
Although I do want to point out that she was working in the insurance office when they met, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she wasn't working at the motel. He didn't come rescue her.
But still less than glamorous. Now, you know, he's a business owner.
Okay,
he's won the award.
Okay, so we got our poop joke in.
Yeah.
We got a bathroom. We didn't get a bathroom scene.
BM.
The BM between the mattress and the box spring. Disgusting. I'm wondering if this has actually happened, inspired by true events. I don't know.
Aw, jeez.
But
only one aw, jeez.
We keep getting some kind of poop or bathroom something, and I wonder, I just really want to know from the writers, like, is this a joke? Is this a badge of honor?
Listen, Noah, tell us everything.
Yes, no, we want to know everything. So we see Lorne is at the Lou's Diner, which is the coffee shop, Molly's dad. This is a really interesting scene, and I think there's a lot that we can we can discuss. But we find out that Mr. Solverson was state police for 18 years. Mm-hmm. We'd always been wondering what his capacity was with law enforcement, but now we know specifically. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Lauren's taking a big chance, I feel like, by saying he wants to surprise Lester and he's an old friend. It kind of sounds like the oldest thing in the book to an 18-year veteran of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Would he be stupid enough? Does he want to tip him off?
I think he wants to irk him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, obviously he was affected when he got up and Molly came in. He was staring at him out the window. Like, he's one of those guys where I bet you he sees the face once and he remembers.
Yeah.
And that's also why he mentioned
Tampa.
It was 79 Sioux Falls.
Oh, yeah. Sioux Falls. So we've been wondering.
79, I thought that's what he said.
Yeah, it was. But we had been wondering what Sioux Falls the connection was, because remember we did see a meeting there, and he talks about how essentially was sounded like a massacre of police officers that he lived through, and he mentioned that it was like animal. It was like an animal had done this, except for animals kill for food.
He knows something's up with him. I mean, you don't lose that sort of sense once you're off the force. He's always had a pretty good eye for things.
Do we think that Lauren was involved with what happened in 79 personally, or he's just involved through the spider webs?
My gut instinct was that, because I didn't really understand why he was talking about that unless he had something to do with it. I don't know, but I felt like he was like connecting him with something.
And I didn't quite pick up on what motivated him to share that information.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't pick
Nothing
up on that
really.
either.
He just kind of was like, oh, back in 79, I'll never forget it.
That's why I thought like it was interesting that he mentioned it, because I was like, why else would he say it other than like, this guy might know what he's talking about. Right.
Maybe he's trying to send a message. Like, I know that you're bad news. I know that you're a part of this.
Right. Or something.
You know, him looking up and seeing the wedding picture. Mm-hmm. So he's starting to put things together. Things have happened since Lauren left.
I got really scared that something bad was going to happen to Gus as soon as he said that.
Absolutely.
Well, now that he knows the Gus connection, because he didn't even say anything about Molly.
Yeah.
He said, is that your son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows Gus. He knows that Gus kind of tried to come after him after letting him go, and that was his ultimate mistake, that he still hasn't really paid for.
Right.
Probably on the level in which Lauren is used to doling out punishment. But also, sorry, I'm trying to read my writing. He says, I haven't had a pie like that since the Garden of Eden. what else does that mean other than he's a snake?
Yeah.
He's telling this Mr. Salverson, I'm a snake. Like, they're having this undercover conversation where one is saying, I know you're bad. I know you're a sick, sadistic person who did this. And he's going, yep. I am.
Sure am.
Aw, geez, better get going. I mean,
I loved that scene. I thought it was well played by both of them, and I appreciated the back and forth. You know, how innocent is a cup of decaf coffee and a piece of pie with the subject matter that they're talking about? And it was almost so matter of fact, and that's why I enjoyed it. I mean, Mr. Salverson is drying some cups, and he's sitting there eating,
and maybe there is a parallel there. Maybe they both know animal, you know, instinct and animal behavior when it comes to human beings, but from different sides. Mm-hmm. You know, they know the other when they see it, and that might just be as simple as it is.
Well, because Lauren called him out for being a cop.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's like, I something about you, or whatever he says.
I feel like he can read people like no other.
Right, but you know, maybe Mr. Salverson can too. And I'm gonna put this in predictions of what I hope is gonna happen. I'm not gonna say it right now.
Can I just say, probably my favorite part of the entire episode was the scene it wasn't really a scene, but what happened when Lauren left the diner and got into the car right next to our FBI guys getting out.
Clowns.
And
missed twice.
Missed barely. And Molly came in the back door instead of the front.
And part of that is just the poetry of this whole thing of everyone is in plain sight.
Right.
Like, nobody's hiding. No one's on the run. All the answers are right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's a riddle. And hence why we've had all these riddles, is that it seems like it's a riddle with all the information right in front of you.
So meta. It's a parable in itself.
It is. So we know about our precious FBI clowns that, you know, have already missed a couple opportunities, but they explain to Molly that they were doing 156 on the 156th day of surveillance of the syndicate building, and that was when the shoot up happened.
And he was like, nothing ever happened.
You know, they were saying, like, you know, logging comings and goings and all the boring stuff, and I can imagine how real that is, in the sense of, if you've been staking out a building for that long,
you're not on high alert anymore.
You're definitely not on high alert. Just like they were arguing about fast food or whatever. I can imagine that would be a day in and day out rote experience. But you're surveilling this crime syndicate. It's like you'd have to pay attention to every little thing.
Yeah.
Everything is important, which I guess is also another meta message of Fargo, was that every little clue is super important. But the agents see the board.
Thank God.
I wrote, Molly shows Key and Peele her creeper board.
Which she does, but there was definitely a moment, I think, I felt great about it, that Molly finally got some credit.
Right. And they were like, whoa, you did all of this?
And they put Chief Oswald in his place. Like, you're not concerned about any of these things?
Like, you don't care that this one was talking to this one, and these people just happened to be in Bemidji.
I also loved that at the diner, they were saying, we're super invested. We're really invested.
Right.
We're really invested. Because, well, so was she. She was the only one that was really invested. And she's had to kind of just eat it and suck it up and know that justice hasn't been served.
And also, it's their fault that all those people died.
Right.
I mean,
right?
I can argue that if they would have seen Lauren would have probably killed them and then killed everyone inside.
I doubt they would have prevented anything.
But I think that it's sort of they need to complete this mission.
They also need to get out of the file room.
Yeah, oh my
because
God.
They're going insane, crazy. As anyone would.
They're invested because they have to be. They have nothing else happening.
They have nothing else to live for. Their careers are over if they don't fix this. So they commend Molly for her hard work, and they give Chief Oswald a hard time. But then we flash over to Gus Grimley and see him checking out the creeper board at home. So they have duplicates. I'm really glad finally Molly wrote it down. Remember when she did the whole window in the hospital? And I was like, take a picture. Now they have two.
Yeah.
So she's probably been working on the one at home, transcribed it to the one at work.
Kind of amazing.
And she mentioned that Gus helped me. She's like, oh, my husband. Did you work on this by yourself? She said, no, my husband helped me. So we see that next step is that he's looking at the board. He's staring at Lauren's face.
Well, obviously we know in the preview, he's the one that says he's back in town.
Right.
Because you never forget that face.
No.
Even though we saw his sort of like the POV shot from the inside of the mail truck where we just sort of see Lauren's profile. Right. You can't forget that.
No.
I'm wondering though, like, okay, so the creeper board's been up. It's like in their bedroom or something, right? Like it's there every day. This is the first time he's taken a glance at that photo and made a connection.
No, I don't think so. I think that he had a feeling about that car. Yeah. He had a feel. It's a bright red BMW going through Bemidji. Like his very rudimentary detective skills tell him as he's delivering the mail, this doesn't seem right, you know, and he's really thinking and trying to recollect because, again, some things wouldn't have happened had he just not let Lauren go. Like, everyone is responsible here.
Right, that's true.
Everyone's responsible for their choices, and all of their choices have had major consequences.
Unfortunate chain of events.
Yeah. So I think he has incentive, too, to put it together and to not let Molly down either because he did shoot her.
Yeah.
Oops.
True.
But I mean, he also got the girl, so whatever.
Yeah.
But he makes that connection, and we will see in the next episode where that goes. But then we see Lester printing out the tickets to Acapulco. So he had just told Molly, "Don't worry, not going anywhere." Got his wife to shut up.
Yeah. His wife's like, "But I thought we were gonna." No.
And on this drive, you know, as we said before, Linda is talking about, you know, Cinderella's story and how he saved her, and she's really pouring it on thick. I mean, they're going on this vacation. Like, this is definitely something that's never happened to her before.
Right.
She's really excited. And apparently their passports are in the safe at the office. Would have thought ahead already to not go there. I don't know. What about you guys?
I just wouldn't have gone inside. You saw the light on. Like, I mean, Lauren can't be completely invisible.
He doesn't want to be.
Well,
right?
yeah, he can't do it.
No.
Because that's one of his pieces to his sort of manic puzzle. He needs to be seen in some way because he needs to warn people that they're after, and if they're stupid enough to do it.
It's true. He doesn't send a message if he does his crimes in the dark. Mm-hmm. He only sends a message if, I don't know, they're done not only in public, but more, I guess they're more terrorizing when they're done out in the open.
So knowing that, though, why do you think Lester doesn't just leave? He sees the light on. Clearly, Lauren is in there. And he does what he does, which we can get into. But why, I mean...
this is a great...
He knew what was going to happen. I mean, he knew the outcome.
It's a great debate. Well, this goes back to why did he even go up to Lauren in the first place? Like, he wants to win, I think, on some level. Yeah. And he shouldn't even be playing the game. Right. In my opinion, he's not up to task at all. And the fact that he has such an inflated ego of himself that he thinks he can play hardball with Lauren is ridiculous.
I don't appreciate the trickery because now it's sort of like the student is becoming the teacher in a sense.
Yep. Where,
you know, he knew that Lauren knows the orange puffer jacket. He asked Linda to wear it. Then he sadistically says, right. Put the hood up. Because your pretty face shouldn't get frostbite.
But me, I mean, being like, I don't know, I think of weird details like this, but I'm like, okay, she's a tiny woman. And Lester's not like a giant dude or anything, but like, even in the jacket, I feel like if he's looking at all, and he didn't shoot her until she was standing right next to him.
Right, like in front of him.
Yeah.
But... So, I don't know. I mean, like you said, this is, you know, we read that article. We'll get to it where talk about student becomes a teacher. Yeah, he should have looked. Don't you think?
I mean, I feel like he knew it was her, like, at a certain point and was just like, he knows that, like, Lester's outside probably watching this whole thing transpire.
Do you think he knew it was her when he shot her?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I think, I mean, when he walks outside and he looks to see where the cars are, he sees the car that's parked, and then... Again, like twisted soul, he lights up a cigarette and then he walks away. Like, okay.
And it kind of makes me wonder, like, is this like let the games begin kind of thing? Like he's gonna let Lester think that he's playing him.
I think he was just kind of like, all right, well, your move, you know, like that doesn't faze me.
Interesting.
Because he didn't get rid of the body.
Oh no, he walked right over her.
No, which is what he at least has been doing with the other ones. You know, trying to get rid of them.
I want to know how he cleaned, like what happened with the elevator after. Like obviously he didn't clean it up and he just left him there, but
wow. I don't know, and I just can't believe. I guess I should not be surprised, but I had a feeling that Lester was going to put her in here. What did I say earlier in the episode? In this scene, I was like, you know, Linda's innocent, so she's going to die because it's the innocents that die in this show.
You didn't think he was going to do it in the most sadistic way possible.
No, I mean, I kind of put 2 and 2 together. Like he's going to send her in there,
right?
And
he's like, oh, I hurt my back.
I mean, but that is just that takes it to the next level of sadistic. And
he knew she was dead as a doornail.
He knew she was dead as a doornail. He's literally might as well have been murdering his wife. By handing her that jacket, he murdered his wife.
Right. She would have been dead anyway.
So this would be the second wife he's murdered.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Lottie's got accomplished in the last year.
Yeesh.
So then I guess Lester hides. Is he hiding while...
I think he's still in the car.
Is he like laying back?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Laying back.
And that's going to do anything. Like how long can you... lay there, you know?
And like we were saying, Lauren has to know on some level and be taking part in this game, like you said, your move, because in any other circumstance he just walk right over and shoot whoever's in the car,
right?
Like that seems more...
No, it's on.
It's ultimately on.
Yeah.
So that's the conclusion of our rundown. Let's go into some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Did you ladies have anything?
Well, I can talk about some of the things that you mentioned in that article
today.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have some sort of, I guess you could call them clues for season 2. Some of the executives and the writers spoke out, and they said that the same characters may not necessarily be returning. We sort of knew this because...
Bob
Odenkirk has Better Call Saul, so he has his own show going on, and he also talked about how the viewers have become so attached to Molly and Gus's relationship, and they may not necessarily, you know, go through into next season. And you know, there were sort of whispers of it being a mini series in itself, sort of like American Horror Story, where yes, it's about horror and gore, but each season takes place in a different situation. So you know, I'm thinking that it's going to be something like that. We have very few clues, but...
Or maybe they'll do, like, one... Like, maybe Lauren will cross over, or, like...
Yeah.
I mean, it is an anthology series, just like American Horror Story, really based off the exact same idea. So it gives them a lot of freedom as far as what they want to do. If they want to bring no characters back and start over, they can. If they want to just bring a couple over, they can. I mean...
And like I said today, I'm okay with that. Like, as long as they wrap things up like a la True Detective, like, I'm good. I'm good with starting over.
Right.
You know?
And it's amazing this show has gotten so much more press now that we're near the end. The first few episodes, I know I was a little lukewarm about just the pacing.
Right.
But it was invested. But now that we're almost to the season finale, it's like everyone's talking about this show.
And everyone's even talking about the finale. I know that it hasn't even aired yet, but I was looking at some tweets from a critic today, and he was saying that this finale rivals the True Detective finale, which was, if you haven't seen it, if you like Fargo, you really need to watch True Detective.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
other thing I wanted to mention was, I tweeted this as well. Colin Hanks was on Chelsea lately, and he talked about his auditioning process, and he also talked about the cold. And I was really surprised.
They all talk about the cold. I think that's so funny.
He said the coldest it was for any of their scenes was like something around 40 degrees below zero. And I had been commenting all season that none of them seem very cold, but he explained his wardrobe process where he wore hand warmers on his toes and like under his feet. They literally had warming devices all over their bodies.
Yeah.
Under like 3 or 4 layers, and then with the jacket on top. So it sounded pretty hellish. he had a really good sense of humor. But I highly suggest looking at that clip. I tweeted it. And then the other thing was the riddle, a fox, a rabbit, and a cabbage. So the way that the riddle works is there's a farmer or a man that has a boat, and he's got, like, on a riverbank, and he has a fox, a rabbit, and a cabbage. He can only carry one item at a time. How does he get all of these items to the other side without losing them? Because the fox will eat the rabbit and the rabbit will eat the cabbage. So it's not that hard to figure out. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You know, you take the cabbage over, and then you take the fox over, and then you take the cabbage back. There's a bunch of different ways so that you don't leave two of the offenders in the same place at the same time. Which does...
The fox won't eat the cabbage?
Fox doesn't eat the cabbage. Exactly. So you can leave the fox and the cabbage at the same place. But so that's kind of how this whole case is going.
But what does that mean, like, in life?
Honestly, I don't really know. I mean, it obviously is showing, though, how complicated some of these solutions are. Right? There is no easy way.
No.
It's going to be a long, hard trip just to get one thing to the other side of the river and have everything in one place and make it all work. So I imagine, if we're referring to the case here, that if there's going to be a whole lot of crossing the river, and then I read one answer was, and then burn the boat at the end so that no one else can get across. So we'll see. But go look it up. Yahoo Answers has a bunch of different answers that people have sent in for a fox, a rabbit, and a cabbage.
That's fun.
And I think that's it. Shall we go into predictions?
Yes.
All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Jillian, shall we start with you?
Sure. So I was very disappointed in Lester this episode. Since it is the finale, and since the preview was really nothing of a preview,
You waited it out,
the most that I can say is that I believe Lester is going to end up going down for everything.
Ooh.
Lorne has sort of showed that he's very sly. Lester is not. Lester has pretty much been in every single place that the murders have taken place, except for that mass murder in the office building.
Mm-hmm.
And really, you know, Lester is just the scum of the earth to me. Like, yes, Lorne is, but this is who he is. This is who he has always been. Lester was not always like this, or maybe he was. You know, he just did it. He just showed it in a different way. So I think that Lester is going to go down for all of it, and I think that Gus is going to be the one spearheading it. I think something's going to happen to Molly where she's not going to be able to fully complete her situation. Yeah, I don't know. So I think something's going to happen to her where Gus is going to have to step up to the plate. Because I think that Colin Hanks' character has been too under the radar.
Interesting.
I think that's great, Sarah. I know you don't like predicting.
I know, but I have
any like wishes or dreams or hopes. Okay.
I have a theory, but I'm hesitant to say it, but I will say it. But I just know that whatever I think, it's probably completely like out of my wildest dreams. Yeah. I really feel like at the end of the day, there's going to be one person standing. I'm not 100% sure on who I think it's going to be, but I really feel, my gut says Lorne, but I could also see it being Gus maybe. I think Molly's going to bite the dust. I know that.
Oh God, I hope not.
I know that she's going to go. But yeah, I really feel like at the end of the day, there's going to be one person, and everyone else is just going to like die in that crazy way that
it's really
I want to call him Agent Lundy, but that's not who he is. Molly's dad.
It's really hard to predict this for the finale. I feel like just because we don't know what is the ultimate lesson going to be. Is the ultimate lesson going to be that evil prevails and Lorne and Lester are going to be able to live? You know what I mean? And somebody who, I don't know, but it's going to be bad.
If this was a Ryan Murphy show, I would say that Molly would be the prevailer.
Right.
But it's not. So I really don't. I think she's going down. I just do.
I don't have any predictions for who's going down. I hope that Molly's dad has his intuition plays into it, because that exchange was really remarkable.
Do you think we're going to see what happened in 79?
Maybe. I mean,
so.
I definitely feel like that was quite a remarkable exchange they had there. I think if we can look at the Garden of Eden, I mean, the snake gets the bad rap for everything, but who pays? it's Adam and Eve. So I feel like there's no way Lauren is going to get punished. I'm sure he's going to get away with it. Yeah. He's gotten away with everything. And I don't think that justice is going to be served. Yeah. So last time I was a little quick on the draw. This time, let's tell everyone where they can find us.
Sure. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jillian Leff. You can find me on my Instagram at JillieLeff. And if you're a fan of The Fosters on ABC Family, I also host that after show, and that starts up on Monday. And if you haven't heard, our wonderful creator, Maria Menounos, came out with this awesome book on diet and fitness, and we've all read it. It's awesome. Definitely worth the read. You can find it on Amazon, pretty much anywhere books are sold. Definitely check that out. Sarah?
Hi. You can find me on Twitter at Sarah on the Go, Sarah with an H, and on Instagram at SarahBear627.
And I'm Oriana Leo. You can find me on Twitter at Miss Oriana Leo or Instagram Oriana Leo. And I finally released another episode of Running Errands in Hollywood, which you can find on YouTube, Running Errands in Hollywood. It's episode 3 with AfterBuzz's very own DJ Jesse Giannetti. So please check that out. I would really appreciate it. I'm not going to be here next week for the finale. So sad, but hopefully we'll have JB back. And it's going to be a really exciting episode. I'll be watching, and I might even call in.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
That'd be fun. Sure.
We can have a little family affair and see how this show wraps up. Thank you, Fargo Fan Club, for joining us for this recap of episode 9. We will see you next week for the season finale.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.